Hey guys, what's up? Big Red 310 here again with another All Sides of the Wrestling World. To be honest, the biggest All Sides of the Wrestling World ever. Like, I've never ever covered so many different promotions. Well, alright, I guess that's not true. I've covered as many promotions. I've never covered, like, so much big shows from my favorite promotions all in one recording. You know, I have WWE, which I almost never not review live. I usually watch every WWE show live. This was an exception. So WWE, TNA, 2 big Ring of Honor shows, a big PWG show, and a Chikara show. There's just a lot to cover. So this is the biggest All Sides of Wrestling World ever. I don't think I've ever covered the top 4 promotions in wrestling right now, in the United States at least. The United States, WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor, Chikara. And I guess PWG, too, is a big one as well. So, yeah, it's just a lot to cover. So, yeah, I remember when I said that in my last All Sides of the Wrestling World, how there's nothing to watch and nothing was coming out. Well, now I have so much crap to watch. I had to watch all this. I still have to see a CCW show. I still have to see PWG Card Subject to Change 3. I still have to see WSU The Final Chapter. I still have to see the Dragon Gate pay-per-view. I still have to see the Evolve pay-per-view. I'm fucking busy now. After in the last one, I was saying how I had nothing to watch. I put my old school Ring of Honor DVDs on hold. I don't think I'm going to get to them until the summertime at least. So, let's get on with this. Over the Limit. Over the Limit, I thought was a pretty lackluster show. Better than last year's, but still not very good. This ended WWE's streak of great shows, actually. I was going to say good shows, not just good, great. From Royal Rumble through Extreme Rules, they were really good. But every year, I've said this every year from December through April, WWE is at its peak. And so we haven't had a show this bad since Survivor Series, which I was at. But this show wasn't very good. There's just I've never seen a better definition of a one-match show than this. Usually there's a lot of times where people will give me a show and they'll say, that's a one-match show. When in reality, I'll have a great match and I'll have like three-star matches, but because the 3-star matches aren't very memorable, they just consider it a one-match show. This is literally a one-match show. Nothing on the show is good besides one match. It is the perfect definition of a one-match show. And we'll get to it. I don't want to go over the undercard as much. This show had the same problem that Sacrifice had, which I'll get to later, where there's nothing really bad. There's a lot of average matches with a shitty women's match. And same with Sacrifice. A bunch of average matches with a shitty women's match. It's just, like I said, nothing's horrible, but nothing's really good. Everything's just there. Everything's pretty much TV quality. Actually, most of the stuff actually would be pretty bad on Raw. We'll get to that. For R-Truth, Rey Mysterio, this was alright. I've seen some people say this was a good match. I didn't think so. I thought it was too short. I didn't like the ending that much either. Like, Rey Mysterio, how it ended is just not how you properly end a match. It's how you, like, cut off a babyface making his comeback. It's not really how you end a match. Like, Rey was going for, like, a moonsault off the apron, and R-Truth grabbed him and crotched him on the ring apron, and then he rolled him in the ring and gave him the spinal tap. And I was just like, it didn't need to end that way. I thought he should have, like, it seemed like a little too planned. Like, he probably could have just beat up on Rey a little more. Rey makes another comeback, and then R-Truth hits a spinal tap out of nowhere. But, a downward spiral, why am I saying spinal tap? But I don't know, I just didn't like the finish that much. I know I'm like the only person in the world who didn't like it, but whatever. Barrett, Ezekial, Jackson, I didn't even think this was that bad. I thought it was alright. I thought even for SmackDown, this match wouldn't even be considered that good. But like I said, they hit Ezekial Jackson pretty well. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't like the ending. DQ, come on, not necessary. So, and just 2-star match, whatever. We get Sin Cara versus Chavo Guerrero. Very disappointed with this match. Kind of sloppy in parts. Chavo Guerrero, these guys just don't have good chemistry. I mean, that's what it comes down to. They don't have good chemistry. That match with Daniel Bryan, if that was on pay-per-view, that would be like a 4.25-star match. It was on SmackDown, and it was still like a 3.5-star match. So I thought that match definitely should have been this match's replacement, because I don't know, Chavo and Cara, they just don't have good chemistry. Nexus versus Big Show and Kane, I thought this was alright. It was a standard house show match. Nexus I think they worked over Kane or Big Show, and then the other one made a comeback, double choke slam, whatever. This was just standard. Nothing to write home about. 2.5. Then we got Brie Bella versus Kelly Kelly. This was pretty shitty, I'm not going to lie. Very short. They didn't really do anything. The finish, it's just like, we've seen it a million times already with this fucking Bella switch. It got old a long time ago. I don't know why it's still a viable finish in wrestling matches. It's not like it hasn't been stopped. Like, it's this finish they do every month. And finally a babyface woman is going to come in and finally prevent the switch from happening and win the title. But that's already happened. Back when the shit was actually relevant, you had the babyface woman stop the switch. So, I don't know. I don't like it that much now. I don't know why I'm putting so much effort into critiquing a women's match, but whatever. Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole. This was alright. It was everything that it should have been. I gave it 2.25 just because I really liked the booking of it. It's exactly what the Mania match should have been with Eve and JR and Bret Hart. I did not expect Bret Hart coming out. Now, the reason I didn't see the show live was because of the Heat game. The only match I saw live was R-Truth versus Rey Mysterio and Barrett Jackson. Midway, I saw half of Barrett Jackson, but I saw R-Truth, Rey Mysterio live. And then when it was either halftime, I think. Halftime? Yeah, I might have been halftime. I don't remember what the circumstance was. I think it was halftime that I saw Jerry Lawler versus Michael Cole. Those are the only two matches I saw live. And so when Bret Hart, I heard that Bret Hart had come out. But I thought he came out I don't know. I thought he came out after the match to talk with Lawler or something. I don't know. I don't remember the circumstance. I just remember being really shocked when I actually saw it myself and seeing Bret Hart come out. So yeah, that match was all right. Bret Hart, it all worked. So 2.25. Then we got the I Quit match for the WWE title. You know what? I didn't hate this match as most people did. I thought this match was all right, actually. I agree with LV 100% about this match, But there's a curve. I'll get to the curve. It's called the Production Possibilities Curve that I learned in my economics class. I'll explain it now. Basically, in this match, Miz said, hey, man, it's no disqualification. Why don't I just get Riley to interfere? So that way, I have a better chance of winning. Now, I understand. It makes sense. I'm sorry, but it does. It made perfect sense. Hey, man, this guy's supposed to be a monster. Let's get a 2-on-1 advantage. There's a couple problems with it, though. For other heels, it would have been fine. For Miz, it did not work because Miz is not a fully credible heel yet. People still don't buy him as legit competition to John Cena. So I feel for him, it didn't work. It only hurt him by having someone helping him the whole match. Yeah, it might have made sense, but it did hurt the Miz's credibility. And then afterwards, I liked what he and Riley did to Cena. I was never bored with it. I actually thought it was kind of interesting, where they were Miz was basically threatening him with a weapon, and he better say I quit or else he would destroy him with a weapon. I liked that. I was not bored with this match at all. But I thought that Miz and Riley working together went on too long. I thought Miz and Riley should have worked together for 7 minutes. Then Cena takes out Riley with the FU through the table. And then Miz works over Cena by himself. And then maybe Cena makes his comeback. And then they fight. They back and forth fight each other. And boom, you have yourself a good I Quit match. But what they did was they had Miz and Riley stay working over Cena the whole match. And it just dragged and dragged and dragged. I mean, I shouldn't say dragged because I was never bored, but it wasn't needed, and all it did was hurt the Miz. That ending was horrible with the cell phone saying I quit. I hated that ending. And what's worse was that immediately after Cena took out Riley, he just immediately beat Miz like Miz was a bitch and he couldn't even touch Cena without Riley's help. It really hurt the Miz. And what I mean by the curve, by the production possibilities curve, you can do a match like this, but you can't do so much of it that you hurt the quality of the main event. You have to do so much of it so that, you can recognize that it's a great story and it's great storytelling and all. But you can't do so much of it that it prevents the wrestlers from having a good main event. This is the main event of the show. You can't shit around. And I feel on production possibilities, for X and X amount of wrestling, they should have had X and X amount of story. I think it went way too much into the story. I think there wasn't enough good wrestling in the match to make up for it, because it was the main event. But like I said, I didn't hate it. I've seen some people really crap on this match. Some saying it was the worst main event in WWE in 10 years. That's insane. That's fucking insane. It was nowhere near that bad. I gave it 2.5 stars. I thought it was alright. I actually hated the WrestleMania match a lot more than I hated this match. A lot more. And in my opinion, this was the second best match on the show. I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me on that one as well. Finally, we get the match that I intentionally skipped. Christian versus Randy Orton. This was a fucking great match. I really loved this match. It was just what I love about it. What I love about these guys' matches is the constant back and forth. Like, they don't have that much, like, working over. They have some. They have a good portion of it, but it's not, like, the main focus of the match. It's not, like, Orton working over Christian for, like, 12 minutes of the 16-minute match, and then they doing a back and forth. No, most of the match, from start to finish, is pretty much back and forth. And it makes for compelling action and great television. And it was just a great match because of it. The story was great. They built off their previous match a lot. That spear spot was tremendous. Like, tremendous. I legit thought Christian had a chance, because now I remember. I saw R-Truth, Rey Mysterio. I saw the last 2 minutes of this match, and then I saw Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole. I saw that spear spot, and I legit thought that Christian had a chance at winning that title with that spear. Also, when Christian went for the spear and Orton, like, reversed into a power slam, when Christian went for the sunset flip that Orton countered into an RKO in the first match, and Christian hit the sunset flip. Like, everything in this match was great. The crowd was amazing. I love this match, 4 1/4. It's in my top 10 matches of the year. Didn't think it was better than Taker Triple H, but it was still pretty freaking damn good. Great, actually. So, yeah, 4 1/4. The single reason why the show got a 6.5. If this match was just 3 stars, then the show would have gone what Sacrifice got. So, this show, like, that match alone raised the show's overall score by a good 2 points. So, yeah, definitely great match, great show. I mean, not great show. It was all right. Like, really, you just have to see the Orton-Christian match. And, like I said, nothing's terrible. Like, some of the undercard stuff is all right. So, whatever. Sacrifice, this show's pretty shitty, actually. I'm actually surprised at the lack of, like, at the somewhat decent reviews this show has been getting, because I did not like the show at all. There's nothing good on it except one match. This is also a one-match show. This is also the perfect definition of a one-match show. But that one match is just good. Like, it's just flat 3 stars. It's not like the Orton Christian match, which is a freaking awesome match. This match is just good. Literally, everything on this show is just average. Like I said, there's nothing terrible. That's why the show isn't completely ripped to shreds. I gave it a 4.75. I still thought that was a pretty bad rating. I still thought it was a bad show because there was nothing good except one match, and that match was barely good. And there was a lot of booking problems I had with the show. A lot of stuff in the show that really made me mad. Well, let's just start off with Inc. versus Mexica America. This was whatever. I didn't mind it that much. I'm not a big fan of Anarquia. 2 1/4, whatever. Robbie E. Brian Kendrick, whatever. Didn't like it that much. 2 stars, average. Mickey James, Madison Rayne. Shitty. I don't want to make it sound like it was horrible. Like the Brie Bella Kelly match, I thought was much worse. By the way, I forgot to say, for Brie Bella Kelly, we should have realized then that Awesome Kong wasn't going to be with WWE much longer, because the fact that they had that match and they didn't have Kong interfere, that kind of should have been a sign that, Kong might be leaving soon. Because why the fuck would they put that match on the pay-per-view without Kelly winning the title, without Kong interfering? So Mickey James, Madison Rayne, yeah, this was just like, it was just stale. I like the finish. I know most people didn't. So whatever, star 3/4, who cares? Kazarian versus Max Buck, this was a good match. I had a lot of fun with this. My one problem was it did kind of get a little overboard at times. Max Kazarian kicked out of a fucking 450 splash. I've always believed this. Unless you're going to put your feet on the ropes, you should never, ever, ever kick out of a 450 splash. It's just, you shouldn't do it. It's fucking insane. There's no reason to do it. And so that kind of hurt the match for me, but I still gave it 3 stars. It was still a lot of fun. They told a good story with Kazarian constantly trying to hit his backwards pile driver type move, and Max Buck kept escaping. But yeah, good match. I liked it. Crimson versus Abyss. I also didn't mind this one that much. I'm a big fan of Crimson. I gave this 2 1/4. Nothing really wrong with it. Whatever. Beer Money versus Matt Hardy and Chris Harris. I gave this 3 originally, but I dumbed it down after thinking about it because, I thought Chris Harris, he didn't look that fat, but he still kind of looked a little out of shape. And, I felt that the match, it didn't feel like as somewhat of a big deal as it probably should have been. Not saying that this match should have, main evented a show or something. It just felt like, just a normal match they'll forget about. And this is Chris Harris's return to TNA. And he wasn't used on the next set of tapings. So I don't know what's going on. I thought that maybe they should have utilized a little more of him, but whatever. The 2 3/4. It was an alright match. Second best match on the show. Ezekial versus Tommy Dreamer. I didn't like this match that much. I thought it was kind of alright. It's just, they had some good weapon spots, but then it just got kind of like indie style, hardcore brawling type bullshit. It was alright at first, then it just kind of dumbed down. So I left me with a bad taste in my mouth, and the finish was whatever. I didn't like this feud that much. I don't know why. Fuck, man. That Bully Ray Devon feud, which I really, really liked. I'm still so pissed that feud got canceled because of Jeff Hardy. That was my favorite feud in wrestling. I'm not kidding. my favorite feud in wrestling. And it just completely got, like, the matches were never that great, but the storyline was just tremendous. The angles that they did at every single pay-per-view was great. All three. You know, I was really mad. I was really frustrated when that feud got canceled. So that was my favorite feud in wrestling, and I was sad to see it go. And I just want them to go back to it, or I don't care, man. Is this really what Jeff Hardy was going to do? Feud with AJ, with Tommy Dreamer being involved? Come on, I have a doubt about that. Whatever. China and Kurt Angle versus Karen and Jeff. This was all right. You know, the crowd liked it. It finished off. I would have originally rated this higher had it finished the feud, but it didn't because the feud is still continuing between Jarrett and Angle. And so this just kind of felt like kind of pointless to me. It actually, in retrospect, it kind of felt like it did nothing because apparently Karen Angle is still on TNA television. So literally this feud accomplished nothing. And, you know, China was kind of sloppy. You know, she got good reactions, but she was still kind of sloppy. And, you know, the match just wasn't much, 2 1/4. Sting RVD, it was better than I thought it was going to be. It was much better than their Slammiversary match. I hated that match. But this was better. But still nothing that great. It was still kind of short. I still hated the finish. It still wasn't a good TNA main event. And I haven't seen a good TNA main event in a while. I guess Jeff Hardy, Anderson in the ladder match. But besides that match, literally, you have to go back until Bound for Glory, the last time we had a good TNA main event. Oh, fuck, what am I saying? That lockdown match was great. Fuck. What am I saying? So, yeah, this was all right. I'd give the show a 4.75. It's a bad show, I'm sorry. There's nothing good except for one match, and that match is barely good. It just feels kind of pointless to watch. Like, there's no reason, none whatsoever, to watch a show like this. So, I have to give it a 4.75. I didn't like the show, I'm sorry. So, yeah, shitty show from TNA. Next, we got ROH Defy or Deny. This was a great show. One thing I want to say about this, ever since they lost TV, you can tell that the non-big shows are used more like a television show would be used. Like in this match, we had an opening segment with Carino and Bennett. We had a nice little thing with the Embassy, like cutting a promo, and Adam Cole coming out trying to fight the Embassy. You know, it felt a little more. The Bravado Bros cut a promo. It felt a little more like a TV show type of deal, you know, that it did like a super show. It furthered angles, you know, it felt more like what a TV show would do. And I gotta give props to Ring of Honor for that, because without TV, the house show should have been able to do this, and it did. So let's get right along with it, shall we? The Mike Bennett, Steve Corino promo was pretty good. Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly was a lot of fun. It wasn't as good as Kyle O'Reilly, Jay Briscoe, but still fun. Corino and Redwood versus A&E was a decent little match. I enjoyed it. Ciampa Adam Cole was a pretty good match. I had a lot of fun with that one. I'm a huge Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly fan. Chris Hero versus TJ Perkins. I think this match is just a little overrated. I like it. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it's pretty good, but like I think some people are just going a little crazy over it. Some people say it's like 4 1/4 stars. I would not go that high. So this was a really fun match. I really enjoyed it. For the most part, you know, I just think some people are overrating it a little bit. Bravado Brothers versus Matt Taven and Guy Alexander. Bleh. Eddie Edwards versus Michael Logan. Another really good match. Big Michael Logan fan as of late. And he and Eddie just put on a good showing. I really enjoyed their work. Christopher Daniels versus Mike Bennett. I like this match. You know, I know a lot of people didn't. I don't know what it is about Mike Bennett, but I really like watching him wrestle. Maybe it's because I like seeing like that mix of a WWE wrestler in a Ring of Honor ring. But I don't know what it is. I'm never bored during his matches. I'm always entertained. I like his stuff. And I thought he and Daniels had kind of a fun match. No lie. I know most people thought it was boring, but I liked it. Sorry. Claudia versus Davey. This was really good, but I also think this is pretty overrated. I think it's a lot of fun, but I think it's just sometimes it just feels like moves. At some points during the match, it just feels like a bunch of moves. But it's still a really fun match. So what can I say? 3 3/4. And the main event I thought was great. Roddy, Generico, Jay, and Homicide. Great match. Really liked it. Homicide showed great effort. They had a great story. The eliminations were paced properly. You know, it was a really fun match. I really enjoyed it. One of the best four-way matches Ring of Honor's done in a long time. So yeah, 4 stars, great match, and great show, 8 out of 10. You know, there's a great match. There's a really, really good match. There's a few other really good matches. You know, top to bottom, the show is pretty solid. I mean, there's only like 2 matches below 3 stars. Pretty damn good. So yeah, 8 out of 10, recommended. Great show, further along angles. You know, exactly what it should have done. Defy or Deny, recommended. Minute 4, I think this show is a little overrated. You know, if you look at my ratings, I guess they're a little similar than like I gave Best of the Best a 9. Battle of the Best battle of the best of the best, best of the best. Best. It's like I think it's best of the best. I give best of the best 10 and 9, and that show had similar ratings to this, but that show top to bottom had consistently great matches, and I was never bored during that show, and that crowd was great during that show, and that show was a lot of fun, and it furthered along really important storylines. Whereas for this show, like, I thought some parts in the undercard were kind of lacking. You know, I thought some matches were kind of pointless. I felt some matches didn't really need to be there. And also, I didn't really like the flow of the show for the most part. But we'll get into that right now. Also, I was supposed to be at this show, actually. But I had a lot of problems conflicting, which prevented me from attending. So I gave Trademark my ticket, and he got to sit in my seat. So, yeah, this was it was still a pretty damn good show, don't get me wrong. All New York Ring of Honor shows are still pretty freaking great. So we had House of Truth versus Colin O'Reilly. Big Colin O'Reilly fan, so I really liked this. A lot of fun. Ciampa versus Redwood, and this was all right. Didn't like this one that much. I gave it 2.25 stars. Didn't really feel it belonged on the show. I mean, there's other ways to get Ciampa a match. You know, I felt like this wasn't the best way to do it. I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a waste of time. Ben and Carino, you know, these guys are having a good feud, so I like this. 2.5 stars. And, well, I liked what it accomplished, but I didn't like the match all that much. I thought the match could have been better. I'm a Mike Bennett fan, but I don't know. I just wasn't that big a fan of this match in specific. 2.5. All Night Express versus the Briscoes. This match is really good. I think it's a little overrated. I gave it 3.75 because I really liked the post-match angle. But that's why I wrote post-match segment a long time coming, because the Briscoes have been kind of stale for a really long time now. In fact, in my opinion, they've been stale since like late 2009. And this was definitely a long time coming. I think this needed to happen, and it worked so well. But I thought the match itself was pretty good, but nothing like incredibly out of the ordinary. Like, I thought, as far as a wrestling match goes, I like the All Night Express match with Colin O'Reilly from Final Battle better than this. But yeah, the post-match angle kind of made me bump up the rating. I didn't think it was that special, but it was still a really damn good match. El Generico TJP, this is the thing I had the biggest problem with in the whole show. I thought this match was okay. The time really did hurt it, and I, more than anybody, have always said you should never discriminate a match just because of its time. You can't just assume that a 10-minute match will automatically be better than a 6-minute match. You never know. These short matches can be pretty damn good. But this, it just left me wanting more. Like, once the match was over, my exact reaction was, that's it? That's it? No, I want more. You know, I just felt like it really, I don't know why this only got 7 minutes. That didn't make any sense to me. Ciampa and Redwood got more time in this match. That is a problem. In any universe whatsoever where Tommaso Ciampa and Grizzly Redwood get more time than El Generico and TJ Perkins, that's a problem. Ciampa, Redwood should have gone 4 minutes tops. Instead, it went 9. And this match went 7, and with those extra 5 minutes, it could have been a 12, 13-minute match, and it could have been a pretty fucking damn good match. So yeah, I was really upset, actually. Not gonna lie. This really hurt the show for me, because I was just so disappointed. This was the match I was looking forward to most on this entire card, even more than Davey Daniels, and I just was kind of let down by it. So then we got Kings of Wrestling versus LAX. I love this match. I thought this match was great. I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun with LAX. Their offense is just amazing. They work so well as a team. I can't lie. I really like this match. Second best match in the show, in my opinion. Next we got Davey and Daniels. I thought this was really good, but not great. You know, I thought like the build was great throughout the match. The submissions they were doing with the ropes was pretty damn cool. It was on its way to being a great match, but I felt they lost the crowd. Not just with the botch finish, even before the botch finish, like a good minute or two before the botch finish, you watch, the crowd is just silent. Like dead fucking silent. And they had been hot throughout the whole match. So they did lose the crowd, which is always a deal breaker for me. And then Davey did that botch, and then they had that impromptu ending. You know, it just, this match kind of fell apart in the last 5 minutes, I'm not gonna lie. So 3.75. It's still a really damn good match, but to be honest, I think overall, as in everything overall, I think it might have been my 4th favorite match in the show, I'm not going to lie. And I know some people who thought this was the best match in the show. But whatever, I gave it 3.75. Then we got Eddie Edwards versus Roderick Strong. This was tremendous. This was absolutely tremendous. The match was tremendous. I bumped up the rating because of that Samoa Joe, Austin Aries type feel towards the end. Like, you really feel that crowd just completely come alive, and they desperately want Eddie to win the title. They just go fucking insane those last 3 minutes. It's absolutely incredible to get for when wrestlers do that to a crowd. I've almost never seen it before. It's just so tremendous, and it made the title win that much sweeter and that much more of a big deal. So yeah, definitely, those last 5 minutes of the match was just amazing. 4.5 stars. My number 2 match of the year. I still can't put it over Taker Triple H. It's really close though. Like really, maybe by the end of the year I might change my mind after seeing both matches again. This match was tremendous, absolutely tremendous match between Eddie Edwards and Roderick Strong. Kicked off Eddie Edwards' title reign. Overall, I'd give the show a 8.75. Like I said, there are 2 great matches, an awesome match and a great match, but my main problem, I guess, with it is that almost every single match in the show, with the exception of those 2 matches in the opener, I had a problem with everything else. Like, every match I had some sort of a problem with. I had a problem with Ciampa Redwood in its time and its existence. I had a problem with Bennett and Carino. I had a problem with the A&E Briscoes in the mid-portion of the match. I had a big problem with El Generico TJP, and I had a big problem with Davey Daniels. So I was just, I just had too many problems with the show for me to give it a 9. There's too much great wrestling for me not to give it an 8.75. But, like, not enough for me to give it a full-on 9. It's like my number 7 or number 8 show of the year. I still think it's a pretty damn good show. Next, we get my number 2 and very possibly my number 1 show of the year, DDT4. This show was amazing. I love DDT every year. It's one of my favorite shows. Even last year, which a lot of people were crapping on. I thought last year's was still a pretty damn great show. So let's get started. Young Bucks versus Gatson and Mac. Really fun opener. Basic Young Bucks opener. Always enjoyable. Wolves Rock NES Monsters. Really, 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 really good match. Really like this match. So close to 4 stars. Very, very much enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. Rock NES Monsters are my favorite team in PWG at the moment. So I like this a lot. Kings of Wrestling versus the Colors. This was good. Probably the worst of the... Probably the second worst match in the show and the worst DDT match. But it was still pretty good. Now, in my opinion, a very overrated match. The Briscoe Brothers versus the Nightmare Violence Connection. I get that it's different. It's different from any other match in the show. I get that it's different. Yes, I do. I get it. I get what they were trying to do. But to me, it was still too short. It was only given like 9 minutes. And I felt like there was a lot of comedy in the match, but it kind of detracted from the match being as good as it possibly could have been. But I still gave it 3.25. I still thought it was a fun match. I just think some people are kind of overrating it. Next, we get the Young Bucks versus the Wolves. This was a great match. So much great action. In my opinion, this isn't their best match. I like their HDNet match more than this, actually. The first HDNet match. And their Hate Chapter 2 match. I guess I like their Hate Chapter 2 match a little bit less than this. But this was still, it's Young Bucks and the American Wolves. You can never go wrong with that formula. Kings Wrestling versus Nightmare Violence Connection. This was a freaking great match. The match of the night. Great storytelling throughout. Great match. Threefold. I loved everything about this match. So much fun. Definitely go out of your way to see that match. Definitely the best match in the show. Joey Ryan Gauntlet. Didn't like this that much. Kind of boring. Kind of stale. 2.5. Young Bucks versus the Nightmare Violence Connection. I know a lot of people have had a lot of problems with this match because of Tozawa leaving, because of the brawling in the beginning, but to me it worked. To me it made the match work, and how the crowd comes alive towards the end is insane. They got really, really, really behind the last few minutes of this match, and the match was great because of it. It's like the 3rd best match in the show, but it's still a pretty damn great match. I really like the finals. Overall, 9.25. There's 3 great matches. There's a really, really, really good one, and everything else in the show is consistent throughout. The Joey Ryan Gauntlet's the only thing that kind of dragged, but literally everything on the show was nothing short of really, really good. So, God, I love this show. It's also very easy to sit through, and the crowd is also amazing. That's why I give it a 9.25 out of 10. Thoroughly recommend this show. I'm still tossing this up between this and King of Trios. I think I still give the edge to King of Trios just because that show is very special. And literally, besides like one match, every match in that show is 3.5, 3.75 or higher. So, but still, this show also is awesome. I recommend both highly. This is an amazing show. I actually like this more than DDT4 2009. I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, definitely a freaking awesome show. Check this show out. 9.25 out of 10. Now we get Chikara, Engulfed in a Fever of Spite. This was a good show. Nothing great. Actually, in my opinion, this is like the weakest Chikara show since Reality is Relative. It was fine. It just wasn't anything like really special about it. There is storyline development. There's always storyline development on every single Chikara show. Even that Scornucopia show last year that a lot of people didn't see because they thought it was kind of pointless. Even that show has Derek Sabato's first ever count for a Technico. That's a big deal. He had never done that before. So this show's good, but it's nothing blow away. I will say this, however, to all of you that said, after King of Trios, I'm going to continue to support Chikara and start buying their shows. How many of you purchased this show? If you didn't purchase it because you don't have the money, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I'm not criticizing you in any way. I'm just saying a lot of people said that you were going to continue to support Chikara post King of Trios. Well, it's post King of Trios, and so have you bought the show yet? Granted, the show isn't that great, but it's still like you have to buy every Chikara show because every Chikara show is so much fun. If I were to rate the show on fun alone, I would probably give it a 9. I would probably give every single Chikara show, if I just rated it on fun, a 9 or higher. This one, as far as wrestling goes, mixed with the crowd, mixed with a bunch of other stuff, it's only a 7. But it's still a good show, and you do not regret purchasing. I never ever regret purchasing a Chikara show because every Chikara show is just such a great experience to watch. So definitely I recommend this show still, even though I only gave it a 7. And so please continue to support it. I will say this: this show was the fourth highest selling show in Chikara history. That's fucking insane. The only 3 shows that sold higher was King of Trios this year. This is the 4th highest selling show in Chikara history behind King of Trios. That means that before reviews even came out of the show, people bought the show because they wanted to continue supporting Chikara post King of Trios. King of Trios got them to start following Chikara. That makes me happy. So now let's get on with this show. I thought the show was good, but I had a lot of problems with it. Los Ice Cream versus Throwbacks, very, very funny match. Very, very funny. I don't want to ruin it. So a lot of stuff they did was hilarious. They had a kid who they brought into the match, and this kid was, like, amazing. He had, like, more charisma and personality than anybody on the Ring of Honor roster. And that's not a knock at Ring of Honor at all. I'm just saying this kid was so charismatic. It was insane. He treated this like a big deal. And he made this match for me. This match was very long. In fact, I think this match got more time than any other match in the show. This match was, like, fucking 20 minutes. But it was still a lot of fun. There were some slow parts in it, definitely, but there was just so much funny parts in it too that I have to give it 3 stars. In my opinion, the 3rd best match in the show. Next we get Tim Donst versus Kamikaze Kid. I like this match a lot. I liked Kamikaze Kid and Will-O-The-Wisp too. I think that they had good showings. Basically, Chikara, they came to North Carolina, but they had to run. In order to get a building, they had to have the help of the CWF Mid-Atlantic promotion. So on the show, they had to have 2 Chikara versus CWF Mid-Atlantic matches as a thank you to CWF. And the crowd is very familiar with the CWF talent. This match was good. Kamikaze Kid's very athletic. He has a good offense. He had a great showing in this match. 3 stars. Grizzly Red versus Daisy Hayes. I know Trademark was complaining about this match. I didn't have a problem with it. Basically, I think Daisy Hayes and Sarah Del Rey are both going to turn face soon, and I think they're going to use this feud with the Throwbacks as the means to turn face. They'll turn face when Sarah fights Claudio in the 12th Summit tournament, which I think they're in the same block. I'm not sure though. They may not be, but supposedly Claudio told the BDK to vote for Claudio in the tournament, and 5 people voted for Claudio, and there are 8 members in the BDK. 9, I guess, if you count Jacob. I don't know if Jacob got a vote. So that means 3 people voted for Sarah. That means 2 people voted for Sarah Del Rey, and 1 person voted for Daisy Hayes. And so I think this will lead to Claudio finally ousting Del Rey and Hayes. They got 3 points last year, but they couldn't challenge for the titles because Claudio and Aries wouldn't let them. So I think that started their dissension. I think little by little they're going to be the first 2 people to leave the BDK. So yeah, I didn't have a problem with this. Hayes was the babyface in peril for most of the match, but then at the end she kind of turned heel again. I think it was a gradual process. Let it go. Ophidian versus Will-O-The-Wisp 2. Will-O-The-Wisp was what Jeff Hardy in Omega, that was his character, Will-O-The-Wisp. He just had the character for a little bit, so this is Will-O-The-Wisp 2. I think some guy liked the character and wanted to copy it. This match was alright. I liked it. Fun, athletic, great finish. So, yeah. Ultimate Spark versus Torsos. I like this match too. Torsos got a good reaction from the crowd. The ending to this match is absolutely insane. This might be the greatest finish in Chikara history. I haven't seen every Chikara show, so I'm sure that assumption's wrong. But, Jesus Christ, this has to be top 5 at least. I do not want to ruin this finish. That's how amazing, fucking amazing it was. Then we got Hollow Wicked Delirious. This was a fine match, and it had great storyline development. Hollow Wicked's trying to get Delirious away from the BDK's clutches and get him back to join Incoherence. it's a gradual process, but this started with this match, and I liked this match. I thought it was fun, you know. Just I had some problems with it at first, but it still ended up being a pretty decent little match. Yeah, you know, I enjoyed it. Then we got Quack and Fryman versus Fist. This was a really fun match. Gargano was really great. Icarus was pretty underrated too, and these guys had a really fun match. They had great chemistry. Quack worked really well with them. I almost gave this 3 3/4 actually. I thought it was that damn good. And I really like the finish of this match. I don't want to ruin it, but I really like it. I like who went over. I like how they went over. Definitely great stuff. 3.5 stars. This match I can see being on the Chikara Best of 2011 DVD. Definitely. I think this match will make that list. Eddie Kingston versus Jacob Hammermeyer. This was a decent little match. You know, at first I thought this would be a total 5-minute squash. A total like 2-minute squash. But I think Chikara realized that this is the semi-main event. It can't just be a total squash. So they found a way to make this match go long without making Eddie Kingston look bad because it took him too long to beat Jacob because he is the #1 face in Chikara. They found a way to make it go long, like it went like 10 minutes, and it made sense, and Eddie Kingston didn't look bad because of it. And Eddie Kingston is still, well, I don't want to ruin it, but come on, you have to be an idiot to think if Jacob was going to beat Eddie in this match. Fine little match, 2.5 stars. Nothing wrong with it at all. Jacob Hammermeyer is one of my favorite characters in Chikara. I can recite his introduction almost perfectly. He introduces himself in his own matches, and then he runs to the curtain and comes out to the BDK's theme music. He is amazing. He is God. 2.5 stars. Then we got the main event, Colony versus the Battery. Kind of a house show main event, but it makes sense because, you know, the Colony did win King of Trios, so I think it wasn't important to have them in the main event of the next show. I don't think there was another trio that they could have fought. I don't think Chuck Taylor was available for the show, and doing a Colony Fist rematch I don't think would have been... I mean, it would have been interesting somewhere down the line. I don't think it would have worked now. And the Battery, you know, they needed the time, so I was fine with it. This was a really fun match. Not much I can say. I enjoyed it. Not as good as the Fist match, but still really good. Oh, I'd give the show a 7. The wrestling's not that great. There's only like 4 good matches, but there's everything else that I didn't give 3 stars. I still really enjoyed. And it had great storyline development. So that's why I'm giving the show a 7. Had a lot of fun. And I still recommend it. The wrestling's not perfect, but it's still just so much fun. So definitely 7 out of 10. So I give that show a 7, PWG a 9, Ring of Honor an 8.75 and 8, TNA a 4.75, and WWE a 6. That's it. 3 out of 10. I'm out, guys. See ya.